Well, now you know what it takes to fail forward. I believe wholeheartedly in what I've shared with you. Let's review all 15 steps to failing forward. Number 1, realize there's one major difference between average people and achieving people. Number 2, learn a new definition of failure. Number 3, remove the you from failure. Number 4, take action and reduce your fear. Number 5, change your response to failure by accepting responsibility. Number 6, don't let failure from outside get inside of you. Number 7, say goodbye to yesterday. Number 8, change yourself and your world changes. Number 9, get over yourself and start giving yourself. Number 10, find the benefit in every bad experience. Number 11, if at first you do succeed, try something harder. Number 12, learn from a bad experience and make it a good experience. Number 13, work on the weakness that weakens you. Number 14, understand there's not much difference between failure and success. And number 15, get up, get over it, and get going. Those are the steps. But I have to say that they may not really hit home with you until you see them in the life of somebody you consider to be a lot like you. Let me tell you about a friend of mine named Dave Anderson. Dave is an entrepreneur that I met at a leadership conference that I recently taught in Kenosha, Wisconsin. When you hear a little bit about him, you may think that everything he touches turns to gold. Dave's net value, $30 million. Education, master's degree from Harvard University. His current position, the chairman of Famous Daves of America, a company with 3,000-plus employees and annual sales of $41.6 million. Some career highlights? He founded Famous Daves of America and took the company public. He co-founded the Rainforest Cafe and took it public. He was named Emerging Entrepreneur of the Year by Ernst & Young. He was the director and executive vice president of an organization judged the fastest-growing company in America by Fortune magazine. He has helped create over 18,000 jobs so far in his career through his vision, leadership, and ability to see opportunity. That's an impressive profile, but to really understand and appreciate Dave's achievements, you need to know more about his failures. You see, Dave has lived out every one of the steps to failing forward, and I want to finish this tape with his story. And along the way, I'll tell you how the steps to failing forward fit into his life. David's first experience with a major failure came in college. During the break after his first term, a friend from home recruited him to begin selling oil conditioner for automotive engines. Dave caught the vision, and with his father's $2,500 investment, he went right to work. But despite his tireless efforts, he couldn't sell a thing. Yet contained within that first big failure were seeds of his future success. Remember step number 15? Get up, get over it, and get going. First, Dave believed that he could be successful. Now, that's step number 6. Don't let failure from outside get inside of you. Second, when his dad bought his product for him, Dave received a 5-day leadership course that he says changed his life. Remember step number 10? Find the benefit in every bad experience. Every night for months, Dave went to sleep listening to those tapes. Step number 8. Change yourself and your world changes. The dream within him wasn't dead, and he wasn't going to let failure get him down. Step number 1. Realize there is one major difference between average people and achieving people. It was in 1972 that Dave got the idea for another business. Though the oil additive opportunity didn't work for him, it encouraged him to start thinking like an entrepreneur. Step number 2, learn a new definition of failure. His idea was to create and sell miniature dish gardens. He scraped together a few dollars and bought the materials to make up a few samples. Then he went out and talked to retailers, trying to get them to buy them. For the next 7 years, he operated out of his basement and worked like a madman. He put in long hours, 7 days a week. When his retail florist customers experienced their heavy crunch times, such as around Mother's Day and Valentine's Day, he would go into their shop, sweep up, clean out coolers, and do other chores for them to help them out. By age 21, he had accounts with every major retail florist in the city of Chicago. but there were more hard times to come. If you're from the Midwest, you probably remember the winter of 1979. It was one of the worst on record. The snowstorm that hit Chicago was horrible, and the drifts were so high that many side streets were closed for months. A lot of businesses went under that year, including Dave's. Florists didn't buy much in the middle of the blizzard. Many of Dave's customers not only weren't buying from him, but weren't paying him for the money they owed for orders that they had already received, and he had to file for bankruptcy. After Dave lost his business, he knew he needed to find work to support himself. Remember step number 5? Change your response to failure by accepting responsibility. He landed a job working for the American Can Company selling Dixie cups, Marathon paper towels, and tissue to restaurants. To get his foot in the door, he took their worst territory. Step number 4. Take action and reduce your fear. He put to work the same principles and tenacity that he had in the wholesale floral industry. Step number 14. Understand there's not much difference between failure and success. He made a lot of mistakes, experienced much rejection, and lost many sales. But he worked like crazy and kept learning. Step number 13. Work on the weakness that weakens you. In 6 months, he took a territory that had been in last place and made it number 1 in the company. He regained momentum. Step number 7. Say goodbye to yesterday. He also discovered that his past failure didn't brand him for life. Step number 3. Remove the you from failure. Dave Anderson is a Native American. In 1982, Dave's tribe came calling. Their organization was losing money, and recognizing his business prowess, they asked him to be their CEO. Step number 11. If at first you do succeed, try something harder. He led the tribe's concerns for 3 years. During that time, gross revenue increased from $3.9 million to over $8 million. He also was honored by various state and local government and business organizations, and asked to sit on numerous councils for areas such as tourism and minority business development. In time, Dave was helping so many people that he was granted a Bush Leadership Fellowship for a lifetime of outstanding achievement by the Bush Foundation in St. Paul, Minnesota. Although Dave had achieved success in a variety of businesses over a relatively short period of time, he had not yet done anything related to his true passion, food. In 1994, Dave helped co-found a highly successful restaurant company called the Rainforest Cafe, and it made him wealthy. Step number 11. If at first you do succeed, try something harder. He used some of the money he made to purchase a small resort in Hayward, Wisconsin. There Dave built the kind of restaurant he'd always dreamed of having, one that made great barbecue. It was called Famous Dave's. Soon he opened a second Famous Dave's, then other restaurants. At this point, if you didn't know better, you'd think Dave was set. But Dave was on the verge of facing the lowest point of his life and his greatest obstacle, himself. In 1995, a group of friends and family came to him in what's commonly called an intervention. In other words, they confronted him about his drinking. When the people who loved him called him on the carpet, he was secretly pleased because he knew he needed to change. So he went into treatment for alcoholism. He's been sober ever since. Dave knew he needed to change, and in the years since he turned his life around, he has seen lots of change in himself. Now continual learning and growth are the hallmarks of his life. Step number 12. Learn from a bad experience and make it a good experience. As I share this with you, Dave owns 24 restaurants in 5 states, and the business is still growing. But as incredible as Dave's achievement has been, what's even more remarkable is his realization that his success does not exist for himself alone, but so that he can help others. Step number 9. Get over yourself and start giving yourself. He's doing that through an endowment fund for disadvantaged minority children which he founded. Dave Anderson has made more mistakes, suffered more adversity, overcome more problems, and experienced more failures than most people you will ever meet. But he's also achieved more, too. And as my friend Zig Ziglar says, Dave Anderson is just getting started. The next time you look at successful people and find yourself envying what they have achieved, recognize that they have probably gone through a lot of negative experiences that you cannot see on the surface. There's an old joke that says, Never ask what's in a hot dog while you're eating one. The idea is that if you did know what's in it, you'd never want to eat one again. A lot of failure goes into success. If you really want to achieve your dreams, I mean really achieve them, not just daydream or talk about them, you've got to get out there and fail. Fail early, fail often, but always fail forward. Turn your mistakes into stepping stones for success. And now that you know how to fail forward, you won't have to give up either. I wish you well. Keep dreaming. And my friend, keep failing forward.